Good evening. I think the introduction was good enough. And I'm really honored to be here to talk about peace and development. And I must thank the Global Peace Foundation for thinking about a topic of peace beginning from home. This is a topic that I've yearned for since I was born. Being born during a means time, and I hope you don't ask when, and growing up during the 1980 to 85 war, and starting to go to university and work in the IDP camp, living with my family together. And during that time, any of you who comes from northern Uganda would agree with me that every child would really be looking around what would be the best way of talking to our brothers and our sons and our uncles who are in the bush there. And so the topic of peace begins from home really resonates with me. It's a very personal topic, and I hope that when we leave this room as women and young girls, we shall really go back and think about this topic very seriously. But what is this peace we are talking about? I've had my colleagues talk about a bit of social aspect of it, and I think we have to be mindful that peace or security that brings in the idea of peace can be political, can be social, and can also be kind of driven from who we are in our communities. And I think for me, my experience is really more about how do we think about peace and development from a conflict point of view. And in my experience, 6 years ago, I moved back to my community where I was born and lived and seeing all this happening. And my colleague just talked about power. And when I went home and when I saw really what is happening, it is indeed that our mothers that really hold the key to everything in our society. And as Reagan said, that leadership begins from a dining table, peace actually begins from that household. And who is the custodian of this household? Is a mother. Is this mother who actually decides what happens there. And the son and the husband and the uncles and everybody consults this husband, this mother. But for long, the world and our society has actually undermined and underlooked this very, very useful resource in our society. And in my view, 6 years ago, I went home, mobilized women to look at economic power. And for me, I know all of you here has at least some money in your pockets. And you know how it feels when you have some bags in the pocket. And when I went to my village and I saw how the rural women are really tossed around just because they do not have that economic power. And that was my focus. I mobilized 20 women to start growing rice, to earn money, and use that money to solve their own social problems. And I deliberately did not choose to use a humanitarian aid approach. Because for over 20 years, we were living under that state of emergency where everything is distributed for free. And if it developed, people would have actually really developed. So I chose a social business model to mobilize women, to make money, to solve their social problems. And I've seen that economic power actually works, and economic power actually can be a dividend of peace. And in that note, from that time, we started growing that rice. And as I talk now, we are over 10,000, about 10,900 women mobilizing their rural communities, growing rice for economic empowerment. And for me, this is a dividend of peace. If a woman has that money, she'll be able to send her children to school, she'll be able to meet all those economic needs at her household, and she will be able to address any need that comes in that household. So in my view, food security and economic security indeed brings dignity in the household and it contributes greatly as an evidence of peace in our community. And as you're aware, for us to talk about peace, we need to think about what really causes some of the conflicts. And one of the issues is the gender inequality in our communities. We've seen violence, we've seen stereotypes. There are patriarchal societies where they say, that one's just a woman, what can she do? And I'm here to tell you that women can do so much. And they can really be at the forefront of any peace and development discussions in our society. And so it is our ultimate mandate and our task to make sure that we empower these women so that they do their role and do it well. We've also faced a lot of challenges. And some of these challenges are the stereotypes we're talking about and the inequalities and the violence that really demean the potential of these women. And in the economic aspect of it, we've seen laws. I'm glad that we've seen our Speaker of Parliament right here. The Honorable Minister, when we really want to empower women and to give them their role as the ambassadors of peace at the household, then we need to address the issues of taxes that directly affects women who are working so hard. We also need to recognize the fact of collaboration. As women at our own household, we can do so little. But when we come together as a coalition and we speak with one voice, then you're sure that those voices can really come up to something. And I must say that also as women, we are not only ambassadors of peace in our households, but we are also peacemakers. In my experience, I remember in the North when we were really seriously advocating for peace in our region, we would have women, grandmothers go to radio stations and beg their sons to come back. That is what shows you how powerful a woman's voice is in peace and development. And for you to have that peace in the household, or peace beginning at home, we need to give economic power to women to do that. I thank you very much.